Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Good to be back with you all, listeners, viewers. Welcome in. As Johnny likes to remind us, after the NFL draft, your NFL team got better.
Yes.
Johnny has a real positive outlook on this. I don't. I hope your team got better, but your team could have had a terrible draft. We're going to find out in 4 months. But Johnny,
it
your
didn't
team
get
got
worse. It's impossible to get worse by
See,
who
that's
you
where I
take in the
disagree.
draft.
I
I
disagree
don't
with
think
that.
you can get worse.
You can get more
like,
sad.
You can absolutely get more sad, but you didn't get less talented. You didn't get less talented. You added talent to your room. You could have had the worst draft possible, and your mediocrity level slightly went up. Just slightly, just ever so slightly, but it did go up.
That's the goal of this show. Josh, what's going on, man? How's your week?
Doing fine. I've been doing research into what I really have been doing is I've been scouring the Pennsylvania high school football records, trying to see who the 2030 Steelers draft pick is going to be for QB.
Yeah.
Some guy out of Scranton is going to be
that.
a breakout.
Yeah. Technically, Drew Aller from Ohio. So there were some people speculating.
That's also another fun hypothetical. Is Johnny? You're. I think we've called you a Bengals guy, Bengals fan. Say you were. You've been a wide receiver and you went through. All the fun colleges, and you've been playing high level D1. Maybe you have a bowl game win or two. Maybe you have an Addy, and then you're drafted by the Steelers.
Yes.
You taking that first or second round money? How are you feeling?
Are you saying
I have Drew Aller's quote here, but I'm curious what would your emotions be if you're sitting in your house with all the hats minus one, but then you get that call and you're like, oh crap, I don't have that hat.
I think beggars can't be choosers. Like that would honestly be my take. I think you have to have some self-awareness of who you are in this draft. And because of that, Drew Allard can't be like, oh man, I really hope I get drafted, but not by that team. Like, you can think that way if you're Fernando Mendoza. You can think that you're that way if you're like Dante Moore maybe in the next draft.
Oh, I was thinking of a different guy with a D as his first name.
You can't be thinking that way, though, when you're like potentially 5th round material. Like, I just don't. That can't be in your mindset. Would that be like difficult for me? Would that be hard? Yes, absolutely. That'd be really, really difficult. But I think you just have to have a little bit of self-awareness there, and just and you're going into a situation where you're going to have a chance to play, So I don't know if Drew Aller actually wants to, if it's best for him to play this year coming off the injury, and he probably really could sit and learn for a year for sure. But he's going to a decent spot for him. I don't know. I didn't have a ton of thoughts on Drew Aller getting picked by the Steelers other than him going a little sooner than I thought.
Yep. He was asked, hey, how do you feel about this? And he goes, I guess that's kind of out of the window right now.
Oh.
He said he appreciated the culture of Pittsburgh and the passion.
Respect
and I went, that's
the
perfect.
Real
That's
fandom, though.
That is truly
I respect that.
perfect.
I would like to say that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks who went earlier than expected.
Oh, yeah. See, that's not even, I'm just trying to make stink. A lot of people have thoughts.
Yeah. Johnny and I got to do our draft show on Thursday. A special thank you to everyone who tuned into that, which I'm sure there's a lot of crossover between folks that listen to this show and folks that were there. The Venn diagram's probably pretty close to a circle, but you know what? We really thank you for tuning in. It was great. We got to hear from a lot of you, got to have some special guests on. And the biggest shocker, night one, I think pretty easily, was Ty Simpson going 13 to the Los Angeles Rams. And we talked about it then, and I'm not going to totally try to, just beat a dead horse here, but it is one of the biggest conversation points coming out of the draft, the Monday after, now that we've had some time to sit on it and reflect. Johnny, I still hate it for the Rams. And that's too broad of a statement to make, so let me kind of dive into what I mean by that. I hate it for the Rams in terms of their title hopes, because they were on the brink of a title last year. They were the second best team in football. We talked about it a few months ago, that the Super Bowl was truly the Rams playing the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. So you're needing just to add one or two pieces, whether it be an offensive lineman or another weapon for Stafford, even despite them being the top passing offense in the NFL last year. You had that opportunity at 13, and instead you look to the future. I understand it conceptually, but I very much disagree with it in practicality of what it looks like in 2026. And I think Stafford's an awesome quarterback, Hall of Famer. He's an awesome guy, great character. I think I don't have any expectations that it's going to interrupt him. I think he'll be a fantastic mentor to Simpson. But you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. Those windows don't last that long. So go attack the window. Who cares about the future if you go 9-8 every year at Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Like, your chance is now. Go do something.
Yeah.
This is not a slant on Ty Simpson. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily a first round talent quarterback in my opinion, but no, you know what? He was drafted, so therefore he is. A team thought that he was a first round talent, so therefore he's a first round talent. Yeah. I hope this works out great for him. No shade on him. There's no better opportunity for him to step into if it's going to work for him. But I hate it. I still hate it. 4 days later, I still hate it for the Rams.
The concern, not concerning. I've done my best not to hate, but I do have a desire to make drama on a podcast that I've elected to be on. And so I will say, I'm not sure why a quarterback as good as you think he might be, with 15 career starts, who sat for 2-3 years, who will then sit for, even though Stafford is 38, Joel Klatt made this point on his podcast, but don't listen to his, listen to ours.
Both.
Unless he comes on, then listen to both.
There's
then listen to both.
Plenty to go around.
Ours first, then Joel. Ours is alphabetical. Fifth, it's spelled with the 5 first, so it'll go before unless he's first podcast. Joel, it's not. Anyway, listen to both. It's great. But he made this point. Like, let's say Stafford, who played as well as about anybody, offensively, they don't really have their issues were not incredibly offensive focused, more defensive focused last year. At least that's what what we think would be the best way to move forward with that. Regardless of that, you're going to put your 13th pick on a guy who might sit for 2 years if Stafford's going to stay at the level he's staying.
Honestly, hopefully. If you're a Rams fan, hopefully 2 years.
But then here's the monkey's claw. Here's the catch-22. Then you're going to have a guy who has sat the majority of his career as starting material. You're going to have a guy who is really good at learning off the field.
Right. He's also just not played.
That becomes the concern. Yeah, genuinely, how well can you learn a skill when you're not put into, so to speak, the line of fire to actually get tested? I mean, a season and a few extras of starts and then after 3 years of sitting, minus I think he got subbed into some random game, Nick Saban's final year. I forget what it was. Then sits, then starts, and then sits for 2 more years, and then eventually starts, and we're looking 2028, 2029. This doesn't. It seems like you were spending a lot of money, so to speak, to have a guy sit after he's already essentially just been sitting.
I think they
especially when you could have gotten him lower.
I think they did a good job after the fact. And if you look at their draft, like they do address tight end, and it's Max Clare, so it's a pass catching tight end. And they address tackle in the second and third round. So it's not like they didn't try to address those needs and like they didn't see him anyway. I don't even think we'd be talking about this. Literally could have been anyone but Ty Simpson, anyone I should say, but the quarterback position. And I don't think we'd really even talk about it at all. It wouldn't be a talking point because it's not even about getting Matthew Stafford another wide receiver, even though Mekhi Lemon was still there. It's just about helping the team now. You were a razor's edge away from winning the Super Bowl. Because if you beat Seattle, and really if you beat Seattle either time, regular season to get the top seed, or obviously in the playoffs, you probably get to the Super Bowl and win it. They would have beaten the Patriots too. So we're not even talking about a severe weakness, which is why they think that they are able to just go out and get the heir apparent now. Aaron, Josh, you both said, like, we understand the thought process. We just adamantly disagree with it because this so rarely works. It just does not work like this very often. And usually you're doing that to elevate off of who your current starter is. Kansas City with the Chiefs, Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre because it's old Brett Favre. And you're doing it because, you're a decent team, but you're looking to elevate with a younger guy who's going to have more legs. And you could argue that would be Matt Stafford, but he just won the MVP last year and was anything but the reason that you know, he was not at fault for not getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. So I just don't agree with it. I think it's a big, big reach. And I just think there were a lot of ways to make your team better. Now, we said this is not about Ty Simpson, except the fact that we just think it's a reach. This is the best possible spot for him, except for the great point you made, Josh, with he needs to play. But I do trust Sean McVay, offensive, genius. And so at some level, I feel like, oh, okay, maybe Sean knows something I don't, which is a lot of things when it comes to football. And this is one of the best potential spots he could have landed to be able to succeed. Because I don't see Matthew Stafford as the prickly guy that like an Aaron Rodgers is. I see him actually as somewhat helpful, knowing that this guy's not competition for me. You know, he's not threatened by Ty Simpson, nor should he. At least he shouldn't be. So I thought that was weird. Was there any other things in the draft that you guys saw a pick or somebody drop or fall that you were just like, you're scratching your head? Like, how is this happening?
I mean, I think probably the lone guy that was left in the green room after night one was a bit of an interesting conversation. We talked about it on Thursday. I felt like there was some consensus going into the draft, like Fernando Mendoza going number one. We kind of knew that. The top three wide receivers in whatever order you wanted to put them going in the top three, that happened. And then on the defensive tackle side of things, that did not go as planned. And good for Houston for picking up their guy. But that was a surprise to me in terms of how the order kind of shook out there. But I think it could benefit both parties. But
and that Houston
McDonald,
defense is scary, very scary, a very scary defense. Adding Caden McDonald to it, I mean, they might have been the best defense last year in the league, and my goodness,
And the other one for me was Jermod McCoy, just kept falling.
Man.
And obviously, you kind of know the reason why. It was still surprising. The injury being the reason. Towards ACL at the end of the 2024 season, if I'm not mistaken, missed all of 2025. So it just was a long recovery. You wonder what kind of results came back from that. I mean, he did work out. He had his pro day a little less than 2 weeks ago, and that seemed good. He ran a 4.3. So
they didn't like the
guess
physical.
There was just a lot of scared teams. Yeah, maybe the physical didn't look good. So that's all I can say there. But that was quite a fall for him.
And my thing is, a lot of the things they were talking about, this degenerative foot, basically. But what I saw was, okay, like, so what if that means his lifespan in the NFL is shorter? How many flameouts do you get in the first round? And if you actually got 4 or 5 really good years out of a starting corner, most teams would take that. Like maybe not top 10, but you would take that end of the first, beginning of the second. So the Raiders might have gotten a steal out of him in the 4th round.
Yeah, I agree. What did you all think about your individual team's draft? Johnny, we'll start with you because you had some words last week. And I'll summarize, and you can tell me if I'm off here. But basically, you said, I want to wait and see what the Bengals have if they were to have their 10th overall pick, and if Caleb Downs would be available, which he was, and went number 11 to Dallas. I thought the Cowboys had a great draft. Yeah. Then I will be furious. So, Johnny, here you are, probably furious. What did you think of the Bengals overall?
I mean, at risk of repeating myself, like, that's exactly what happened. And I'm still ticked off about it. And so I understand why you do it, because Joe Burrow's angry and you're trying to appease him. Okay, so to appease your quarterback, you double down on being stupid. You get a 5-year contract with a first-round pick, and you get Caleb Downs, who's now going to lock down the back end, at least, of your defense at safety. So he's younger, so he's going to last longer. I think he could be the best player out of this entire draft. And you get him at 10, not moving. He's cheaper and he's younger, so you're going to have him longer as well. Instead, you give up that 10th pick for a more expensive, older player at defensive tackle, which is also a severe need. Don't get me wrong. Again, it wasn't even the move that I hated. It was the price tag. If you get Dexter Lawrence and you give up next year's first round pick, if you give up 2 second round picks or a second and a third, whatever you need to do, I don't mind it. But when you know that this is a great defensive player draft and you give up the number 10 pick, I think that is short-sighted. I think it's foolhardy. And then they don't even get, we don't address linebacker. The Bengals literally don't have linebackers at this point. We other than Demetrius Knight, who I still think could end up being okay from South Carolina from last year, we don't have linebackers. There are no quality linebackers on this team. Nobody's in the middle of the field. And they just didn't draft one. Not in the 7th round did they draft one. I know there's unrestricted free agents. It doesn't mean that they're not going to do anything, but you don't have linebackers on this team. And then you go and get Cassius Howell, who I knew they'd take because for some reason they have a love affair with the Aggies. And they keep taking these super highly rated recruits that don't do well at A&M. Cassius Howell did do well at A&M, but he is Ruben Bain because he doesn't have all the measurables that you want. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I hated their draft. I hated it. I hated everything about it. They didn't take the right players at the right time. Sorry. I hated it.
We had some comments on our YouTube channel. By the way, you can watch this show every Wednesday on the 5th and Goal podcast YouTube channel. So go check that out. We had some comments last week because as people were getting ready for the draft, I was watching our analytics and there was a bunch of people that clicked on it. And we had a couple people that disagreed with you, Johnny. I personally don't disagree with you at all.
I hope they're right.
Yeah, I do too. But I thought I'd read it because I thought they were humorous. I don't know if I'm going to make this a trend because that just is probably encouraging people to leave. Well, you can leave whatever comment you want. I'm not trying to force the conversation here at all. But at mkendall68 says, okay, you got your click, but horrible take. They got a guaranteed producer day one. First round is no guarantee. I think Caleb Downs is probably as sure of a guarantee as there is as a player, as a character, as leadership. Character-wise,
if Downs isn't there, I agree. Let me be clear on that. And you don't know going into the draft, but that's what Intel's for. And most people had Downs earliest going to the Bengals at 10. So anyway,
he adds that Giants had 2 first-round recently and got no Pro Bowlers out of it. Barely starts. That may be a Giants issue, not a first round.
Yeah, that's
issue.
a Giants issue.
At Benny Beckman says, and drafting Caleb Downs is going to fix all those problems you just mentioned. No, he will not, because the Bengals defense is atrocious.
It's
but
all
if
bad.
there's a guy that's going to cover a ton of field, it's not going to be 340-pound Dexter Lawrence. Not that he's not going to do anything for you, but I think we're underestimating the potential impact Downs could have. And my favorite part of the comment, he says, all while having a Votto jersey hanging on your wall. Do you guys even watch football? Great point by Benny Beckman. It is impossible to like and follow two different sports. Well said, sir.
I truly have such an issue. There's never been such a thing as multi-view. We've never talked about quad view on this channel. We've never sat in the college dorm room and watched 7 different screens at the same time.
Yeah. Right. In December, I sit there and I'm like, oh, there's no baseball on. What will I watch? Football? Nah.
No, not interested.
Nope. I only follow baseball. That's all I know. Josh, what do you think about the Steelers? I know we already had the Drew Aller discourse, but overall,
it's sure. That's kind of that's my gut reaction. It looks like they picked based on need fit need. It feels like they're picking based on need. Except for Drew Aller, I'm still figuring out again. Rodgers is still in the air.
He's coming back.
He's coming back.
He just wants you to prove that. He wants you to prove that you want him that badly.
That's so true.
And he knows that I don't, but I live nowhere near him. That
Dude
I know
of.
I don't know. He might have another cabin
that cave
somewhere.
Could be right underneath you, Josh.
You
have no idea.
Potentially, it's a garage underneath me. He could be in that garage as we speak.
Yep.
Yeah. Nowakowski, I think we could see some interesting things from if Max. I'm so sorry, Max. I'd had all week to learn your last name, and hopefully, I hope that I will have plenty of seasons to learn your last name.
It's a rough one.
Yes,
it's just Max. That's what we called him on the broadcast too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fine. Nobody stands out, but also the Steelers were picking at times where it's like the issue has been it's not one specific need. It's the whole malaise of the Steelers organization that I feel like has permeated. And so if this was Tomlin, I go, shoot, crap, there's nobody. We will have a pretty decent defense and then basically the ghost of Matt Canada. Now, because we've not seen McCarthy and his QB and other young talent development at the Steelers, I can't for certain say what's about to happen. I've seen clips of when Eagles fans booed the Jalen Hurts pick. I've seen there's one of the things that this is why I say on is because I am incredibly wrong most of the time when it comes to my gut reactions. You all remember how dumb. We're working on positive self-talk here, chat. I was a little overexcited at the Kenny Pickens pick. What we're not going to do, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens.
He was so excited.
Neither are there. Neither are there.
Right? Him too, though.
Give me a Joey Votto jersey at this point.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm going to learn from hey, we picked a hometown guy. We didn't. He's from Ohio and he likes the Browns. But
he really does not like the Steelers, apparently.
He's not. This is so funny.
We respect him because he's so big. Much.
He got big hands. And he has a fantastic deep ball. And then
he's the ultimate prototype NFL physicality check,
absolutely,
check, arm strength check.
And
couldn't throw a pass in college.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers can sober up for at least a weekend, I think maybe we can have some developments. But we'll see. Again, this is new territory. I've said multiple times. I think Khan has been doing a good job in between seasons, managing things. The Pickens trade was, we were never going to pay him. Just deal, live, whatever. And so there's been some, it's a lot of words for me to say I can't place it. Nothing stands out. I love seeing, first off, I like seeing some big beefy boys at the guard position, getting Stunker. My goodness, what a man. Never changed my guy. Gotta look at that guy.
Lineman too.
Good. It's a good corn-fed Iowa man. And so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I like it. My Detroit Lions only had 7 picks, so I feel like in terms of like giving them a letter grade, it's a little weird because you're kind of comparing apples to oranges when some of these teams are picking 11 or 12 times. But I thought it was fine. I thought they addressed the area of need just about every time they were on the clock. They started with an offensive lineman with Blake Miller. Some of my choices on the top of my list were already gone by the time the Lions picked at 17. So I thought Miller was solid. Sounds like Dan Campbell's all in on this guy. You talk about, corn-fed Blake Miller from Clemson, played a ton, over 50 starts for the Tigers. So that, to me, kind of checks the box too.
What a letdown were the Clemson Tigers, Aaron.
Oh, my.
Just didn't the draft kind of almost rub salt in the wound if you're a Tigers fan?
Yep. And then the Lions go on to pick 2 Michigan players with their next 2 picks, which, as an Ohio State Lions fan, I'm always going to be somewhat conflicted, just generally speaking. But I think solid. Like, they needed an edge rusher. You're hoping you get a Michigan tandem, Derek Moore on one end, Aiden Hutchinson on the other. They got a cornerback in Keith Abney. So I thought solid. They got another edge rusher later on in the draft, and only went, 2 offensive players, which I was happy with because the year before we traded a lot of draft capital for Isaac TeSlaa. And while I love that guy, that was an interesting move. And I don't think that this year really showed that move was the right one. So time will tell. We're only a year into that. But the Lions stayed put. They didn't do anything crazy. I thought they drafted very well just based on need. And obviously, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, that tandem getting the players that they want. And overall, still trust them because Jahmyr Gibbs, that one gives me that trust from that Jahmyr Gibbs pick will last a while. So I think the Lions will be in good shape this year. Still some concerns on the offensive line, but again, you're not going to be able to draft 7 offensive linemen. Guys, in terms of just real quick, we'll rapid fire this one, but in terms of teams that you thought just had an excellent draft, I loved, and now Browns fans, be careful here. I'm not trying to give you false optimism. I loved the Browns draft.
How could it not be? I mean, they killed it.
Yeah. You moved back with Kansas City. I didn't understand Kansas City's move at all, but Browns, you ended up with a couple extra draft picks. Love that for you. Spencer Fano was an offensive tackle. Apparently they kind of had their pick at that point, and that Fano was their pick. I love it. You got 2 great wide receivers, and a lot of people thought they were both first round grades in Casey Concepcion, who did go in the first round, and Denzel Boston, who went shortly after the second round. You got Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at safety from Toledo. I love that pick late in the second round. Just the fact that he went to Toledo probably means that some NFL teams overlooked him. You hit a home run with your last MAC pick when you picked tight end Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. Now you pick one of his rivals that he would have basically gone up against in EMW, which I'm sure he'll probably be called. I don't know. From Toledo, you got some other pieces there. You drafted a quarterback because you can't have a Browns draft without drafting a quarterback. So you got Taylon Green with a 6th round pick. I don't know why that was necessary, I guess, because in case everyone...
As is tradition.
Just because they can't not. But I loved what the Browns did. Does that make them a playoff team? No. But does that make them potentially have a young core that they can rely on? I really hope so. Now, a lot of that's dependent on the quarterback position, obviously, but I thought they did so well to trade back and just accumulate more draft capital, take as many swings as you can. And I don't think they struck out here. I think they did well. I think they hit like a double.
Aaron is a great pick. And I think if you had to pick one winner, they're the obvious choice in this draft. To me, they're easily the winner of this draft. I think a lot of, again, we're just talking about who got more better. I know that's not proper English, but who got more better than some of these other teams. I think the Giants had an outstanding draft. I don't want to hear the thing about we already have all our pass rushers. It sounds like they're looking to move Thibodeau. This is a new regime coming in. There's going to be a lot of guys leaving still at this point with a brand new coach coming in, kind of cleaning house at some point. Dexter Lawrence already on the move. Sounds like Thibodeau might be on the move next at pass rusher, but they get Arvell Reese. They get Francis Maui Noah at 10. They get to stay put at 10. And Aaron, we're talking about Fano, Maui Noah, clearly different grade the Browns had. Fano above him, but they get Maui Noah at 10. So you get a great tackle at 10. You get Arvell Reese at 5. A lot of people thought he still could have been at 2. David Bailey goes instead. You get Colton Hood, who was in for McCoy for Tennessee this year. Really good corner in the second round. Malachi Fields might be an underrated wide receiver. I thought the Giants did a really good job setting the table this year to try to give Jackson Dart a little bit of help and a fighting chance. As long as he allows himself to have a fighting chance and doesn't just throw his body in harm's way.
Yeah. And I'd say also don't look now, Josh, just because it's in your area, but I thought the Cowboys did okay. I mean, Caleb Downs, him falling to 11, that automatically is going to, bump you up probably a whole letter grade.
Oh, absolutely.
But they loaded up on defense, which is what they needed to do. And again, I'm talking about a team with 7 picks, but a couple first rounders, and I thought they did all right. So,
yeah, I'll say I liked what the Cardinals did. I think they filled some offensive needs. I'm excited to see what Love does there. Basantis out of A&M, I think has potential. And I am curious. I shouldn't be, but I have to be. I'm curious about Beck.
Yeah,
I'm so curious about Beck. And you got him round 3.
I was surprised he went that early. I'm surprised he went that early.
He's going on.
His offensive line is so bad, and they didn't do.
They're going to die. They're going to kill Jeremiah Love.
Hey, you know what? They drafted a tackle in round 7. Sorry. They did do something.
Yes.
Gosh.
I think they're going to be okay, guys.
I mean, Basantis could end up being one of your starting guards. Like, yes. That pick's good.
That's what they're drafting that with. I believe they're using him.
You're right. Like Basantis is great, but like you could have fortified the offensive line in general. And I'm not even saying, listen, maybe they were desperately trying to trade out of 3 and nobody was giving them much of anything in return. Like, we'll never know that. And so instead of forcing a need, they took best player available. I do understand that mindset in general, but not with a running back. And that's not a hate on the running back. It's just, if you don't have the requisite offensive line to keep him upright and give him a fighting chance and not get hit in the backfield every carry, what is the point? What are we doing here? So but Josh, you bringing up Carson Beck, was there a quarterback outside of, because we don't need to even bother with Mendoza. We'll get plenty of time during the season to talk about Mendoza, and we all are pretty favorable thinking on him. And we already talked about Simpson. Was there any quarterback, because there's a long history of quarterbacks obviously getting drafted after the second round that still have a successful career? Who amongst those, or was there any quarterback that you saw the landing spot, you saw the pick, and you were like, he's got a chance? Like, maybe you weren't like, oh, home run, but you're like, maybe he could do it.
I just generally in the quarterback class, I'm just kind of not super pumped on. So
Josh?
This is, I'm with him. I'm like, I think I'm feeling, but on the other side where I'm like, because other than Mendoza, there's no like real standouts. I'm like, we'll see.
I have one
one quarterback will pop.
That's why I say that. And that doesn't mean they're going to be NFL MVP. It just, who's going to be, not even Brock Purdy. I hate the comparisons, but that late draft pick, that's the only comparison I'm making, is that taken very late in the draft that ends up being starter capable. I'll give you one really random one, which might be a flaming hot take. I like Taylon Green going to the Browns.
Okay.
That dude was asked to move mountains for the Razorbacks. Because everybody looks at all the turnovers and it's a problem. but that dude had to do everything. He was putting a cape on. He was having to outscore opponents because the defense was so bad at the end of Sam Pittman's reign there. And he just didn't have the help on offense. And he's just trying to force it late against a lot of these teams. And he is a little bit more of a run first option at times. But the dude has, you talk about traits and ability. And if you could have the right coaching for that guy, I think he could be something. So I'm curious, and that's not a prediction saying he's going to be great, but I like that pick. First pick of the 6th round, and just saying, hey, why not? Everybody's like, this is too many quarterbacks in Cleveland. But
I think, at least one of those quarterbacks in that room, maybe two. Yeah. You're kind of out on already.
Gabriel, right? They're gone.
Dylan Gabriel's done.
Gone.
And again, I'm not that's not me hating on Dylan Gabriel. I'm just saying what the reality of the situation is. Yeah. He's probably done. Short of Taylor Green just looking like a mess in training camp, preseason, all that stuff.
Yeah. 6th round picks get cut. That's not he got drafted, they're keeping him. And Browns fans, for your sake, I hope Deshaun Watson never takes another snap for your team, no matter what the front office and coaching staff is saying.
Yeah. Well, NBA, NHL playoffs are definitely underway. We picked both of those things the last 2 weeks, so let's talk about it.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
Josh, why do you like journalism specifically?
It's because it's a concept, and it's I don't know. I just think for me, it's like a horse learning how to not only write and edit, but also do some sort of in-field reporting. And I just like the idea of a horse with a little voice recorder.
Holds a mic up to the other horses.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
Josh, it is almost concept time for horses. We'll get there. We will get there. Let me first recap our picks from the last couple of weeks as I throw my pen everywhere. 2 weeks ago, we picked the NBA Finals. We all had our picks. You can go back and listen to that a couple weeks ago. I'll just address the elephant in the room right now, which is my Detroit Pistons are down 2-1 to the Orlando Magic heading into tonight's Game 4. Am I panicked? For a team that won 60 games in the regular season, the number one seed in the East nearly all the way through, team that has really flexed their muscle in the East, showed complete dominance. Yeah, I'm terrified. Because Orlando Magic, as an 8 seed, they're not really an 8 seed. This team has developed into the team that we all thought the Magic could be at the beginning of the year, mostly because they're healthy now. So I'm terrified. What the Pistons have done well all regular season to get those 60 wins, to have that dominance, has kind of dried up. The rebounding effort's not there. Some of the scoring consistency from Jalen Duren isn't there. The Magic can kind of play the Pistons game, and for much, probably 10 of the 12 quarters have done it better than Detroit has. So yes, I am a little scared, and it's a must win for the Pistons here in Game 4. So we'll see. Josh, that was one of your picks to get to your NBA Finals. Johnny, your Cavs, strong start, and then that went away quick. So now it's a best of 3 series there. And Josh, your Dallas Mavericks have not yet appeared in the playoffs, so I can only assume
still
they
looking
won't be
for
there.
them. Yeah.
NHL.
They say defense wins championships, so I think they've allowed 0 points so far in the playoffs. So we're winning. Yeah,
that's right. NHL. Some interesting things happening there. Johnny, you mentioned the Philadelphia Flyers. Watch out for them, and boy, have they really put on a show. They do lose Game 4, but it's only a matter of time before they take down the Penguins. You've got my top picks for the Stanley Cup, the top seeds in the East and West, both with sweeps, and I think the biggest surprise so far is probably, kind of twofold, but just the Pacific Division in general. The Anaheim Ducks up 3-1 on the Oilers, the Mammoth up 2-1 as of recording on the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'd love to see both of those things hold. Yeah,
as soon as they leave Arizona, they're good. Poor Arizona Coyote fans.
Yeah.
Rip. Oh.
Yep. So that is our status of that. That's the real quick rundown. We will spend more time on this next week because, all of those first round series I just mentioned will be done. So we can kind of preview the conference semifinals across both sports. Well, you heard it in the bumper. It is Kentucky Derby week, and pats on the back to us and mostly Johnny for helping us remember to actually pick the Kentucky Derby. We have the odds. We have the horses. You know what we do. We don't even look at the odds, really. We just say, oh, haha, funny horse name. I'm picking that one. And that's what I'm doing. Because, guys, there's a horse named Incredibolt. You all know my favorite movie. You all probably don't, actually, but it's The Incredibles. It's my favorite movie ever. I'm telling you, that movie gets better with age. Whatever life stage you step into, The Incredibles as a movie gets better. So I don't even think it's probably a play on Incrediboy. It's probably not. But I'm taking it as such. I'm saying instead of Incrediboy, they went Incredibolt. I love it. The horse is 20-1 odds in post number 11. But you know what? Never tell me the odds. I think a 20-1 odds winner won last year, if I'm not mistaken, or something close to it. So that's my pick. And Chris, producer Chris, says it's from the Disney movie Bolt. And then he said you dolt, which was great because it rhymed. So well done, Chris. Maybe it is, but I'm choosing it to be my favorite movie. So if he loses, it's because it's from Bolt. If he wins, it's because it's from Incredibles. So I got Incredibolt.
I've had to listen to my bumper where I meander so long in trying to describe what the concept journalism is. And so I'm going to keep it brief for this time. First off, Johnny, I just saw your pick. I'm picking against him, by the way.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's racist.
Because
how do you pick against a horse?
By picking
for the horse to break his
party.
leg?
By picking rights to party.
Oh. Okay.
Journalism is a great concept. It was going up against, it doesn't even matter. You know what the most important right is? The most important concept? It's the right to party.
Okay.
Because you know what happens.
What amendment is that, Josh? In the Constitution,
I believe,
what amendment
he's
is that?
post 5, so it's the new 5th Amendment. Your Honor, I plead the 5th.
That's right.
Court dismissed. We're going to go out. And that's what Right the Party is bringing to this. What is the Kentucky Derby if not a weekend of just a cool hat party?
That's not wrong.
That's really what it is. And they're not cool. They're tacky.
And you're going to...
hats.
They're bad. They're bad. Okay? Mint juleps are not that good. They can't possibly be that good.
No. You'd have
But
them more
Right the
often.
Party, it's a win-win. Well, you have it, it's a win-win. Because if he wins, awesome, you party. If not, hey, guess what? You celebrate that you were even there.
Fair. I am picking Chief Wallaby because that's the best name.
It's not something that I can't, I can't pick that.
Chief Wallaby is the best name. So I'm picking Chief Wallaby. I think he has the 3rd or 4th best odds. It's not overwhelming. As most Kentucky Derbies go, there's no proven favorite because that's not how horse racing works at this point in time. But
Has
I'm
someone
going to
ever
go
told
Chief
the
Wallaby
horses the
because
odds?
honestly, have they tried? Has a horse ever
Have they
thrown a race? We might get to that later.
Yeah.
Where's
but
that
I'm going
Airbud
with
sequel?
I'm going with Chief Wallaby. Yeah, Airbud sequel. Oh no, Josh. Oh no, that's terrible.
They never said
it's
a
a
dog couldn't
brilliant
race.
idea, but that's terrible. Yeah,
Oh,
Chief
yeah.
Wallaby. He will be the winner. I did pick this right 2 years ago, and
Yes, you did.
naturally, I
Haven't been able to.
didn't do
put it down.
anything with that pick. So, but here we go.
Here we go.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
Oh, by the way,
Oh,
I did
gosh.
find there is bowling in Dave & Buster's. Importantly,
Oh.
it's half off on Wednesdays as of 5 years ago.
That coupon still spends. Let's go.
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
Look, I know the calendar says April 27th, but really, that only means we're 3 months away, 4 months away, because that's how math works, 4 months away from college football. So the headlines are just rolling in, folks. And you know what? It's not the fun headlines like, oh man, look at this Alabama wide receiver who's coming out of nowhere. Actually, I mean, those headlines are coming out too because we're out of spring practice now. But it's the headlines of the chaos and what is this and those kind of things. So both myself and Johnny have you covered there. I can start because I'm a little late to report this and it's been resolved, which is good and bad. It's good because Louisiana Tech is no longer playing 19 football games this season, which is highly disappointing because
I was gonna say,
everyone wanted more Bulldogs football. That is bad.
Absolutely.
That's a bad.
It's bad for everyone except for them. And you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, how was Louisiana Tech scheduled for 19 football games? Don't they do scheduling way out in advance to avoid some of these issues?
Oh,
yes,
little
do.
faith.
Yeah. But there's a little bit of a legal battle that happened with Louisiana Tech and the conference they are trying to leave and the conference they are going to. So it's been settled now. Louisiana Tech is now officially a member of the Sun Belt, but they were trying to leave Conference USA. They basically said, bye, Conference USA. Thanks for everything. We're going to play in the Sun Belt now. And Conference USA said, where do you think you're going? Come back here. We've scheduled a bunch of games as we all wave to Archer. Hello, mascot Archer. Hope you're doing well. So on their schedule officially, because Conference USA came out with their schedule in March of 2026, the Sun Belt came out with their schedule in March of 2026. Conference USA released this statement. It says, Conference USA is pleased to have reached a positive resolution with Louisiana Tech that fully acknowledges our governing documents. We look forward to continued success and impact in the national landscape, driven by the collective strength and shared vision of our 10-member institutions. That was just a bunch of jargon for, we're going to give them a Conference USA schedule and Sun Belt's going to give them a Sun Belt schedule. So at one point, Louisiana Tech had 19 games on their schedule, but it's been resolved. They're now just fully in the Sun Belt. We're all disappointed because we wanted to see Louisiana Tech play 2 home games on a single Saturday and try to be in 2 places at once on a random Thursday. Like, we have been utterly robbed.
It's the most college football thing ever.
Yeah.
Okay, don't hate me, Conference USA. Conference USA shouldn't be in the FBS. Like that's an FCS conference. Sorry, guys, because they're mostly FCS teams that have recently come up. But I digress.
Don't tell Kennesaw State that, though.
But
you're right.
I digress.
Notably, I will say the only good thing about this is, again, for the sake of the Bulldog student athletes, they won't, just completely crumble under the weight of 19 football games. But there is a fun little rivalry now between Louisiana Tech and Louisiana. They're at Louisiana Monroe this year at ULM. So from a scheduling perspective, from a geography perspective, it actually kind of fits that Louisiana Tech is in the Sun Belt. Yeah. So I don't hate that. But overall, conference realignment continues to be kind of annoying. So that's what I've got.
Josh, yours looks potentially positive. So
no,
I'm going to stay
it's
with
snarky.
College football.
It's snarky.
And then hand it over to yours. Also, so that we can end on something a little less serious.
Yours is mine. Mine is not positive, but it's not. The ramifications are very light.
Yeah. So, sticking with college football and the weird and wackiness of it, I got a notification. I just sat down to lunch today, and I'm scrolling Twitter, and right as I open it, first thing, just a minute ago, Pete Thamel is talking about Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech's new transfer quarterback coming in this year, is seeking help basically for a gambling addiction. Well, he's just being an athlete in general. That's basically a no-go. NCAA extremely strict on that. So this is a big deal. He was seen as the number 1 transfer portal quarterback in the entire country this year. Texas Tech really, really wanted him. There's crazy numbers about how much they paid to get him this season. Texas Tech, you could argue, was a above average offense away from being a real title contender this year. If you watch the NFL draft, you saw that almost entire defense gets selected that was eligible to come out in this draft. So Texas Tech, and everybody, that's reflective in the odds and what it looks like that they're going to do into the Big 12 this coming year as well. Everybody thinks Texas very highly of them. They run the conference now. Gosh, that all like caution lights now with what that team and that conference and what could happen. First off, hopefully he's just well and they're able to help whatever he's going through with the gambling. They're able to work through that. But the NCAA, and I'll just read their policy. They have a strict policy against any type of gambling by athletes on intercollegiate, amateur, or professional athletic competitions. Violators are ineligible for competition, subject to appeal. Now, this did not happen while he was at Cincinnati. This happened when he was at Indiana, and he was gambling on games that he did not participate in, but he was gambling, at least allegedly, on Indiana football games. So this doesn't have anything to do with Indiana, really. So kind of push that away. But that's really the timeline when it happened. But he's also going in and seeking help for gambling addiction. So it's also kind of hard to believe that if that's the case he's seeking help for, that there hasn't been additional gambling going on in the meanwhile. So I think there's a decent chance he is going to be ineligible this season, even if he is mentally and physically able to do so. And I hope he is. He's probably not playing this year. So really a bombshell news story today. It's not a college football podcast episode where I wanted to take a main topic segment away, but big deal. Big deal. That's deal. Something we will talk a lot more about, I'm sure, in the fall if he is unable to go. So, you've seen what they do in the NFL and NBA when they find out people are gambling, and the NCAA is just as if not more strict with their rules on that.
Yeah. One other thing I'll add real quick, because, this is a bigger deal down the road if we're talking, on the football field. So that'll be talked about over the next 4 months. Because I agree. I think the chances of him suiting up for Texas Tech this season are pretty slim for any variety of reasons. And of course, like you said, Johnny, you hope mentally and physically he's okay and can, even if he's probably not going to be eligible. But I think the overarching thing, we almost never give you betting advice on this show, and there's a very good reason for that. Number one is we're dumb, but number two is for what reason? Why would we do that? The same people that are going to come along this week and say, "Oh, this is a terrible thing," because it is. They're going to come along and say, "This is a terrible thing." Man, I really wish that wouldn't have happened. Are the same people that are probably cutting promos for FanDuel. And I'm not trying to single out a specific company necessarily, but your DraftKings, whatever. They're probably the same people that are cutting promos for them. So at some point we have so blurred the lines between I'll throw $1 or $2 on a game. It increases the stakes. It can be fun. I get it, but you obviously have to be under control and understand hey, is this something I can handle or not? That's a decision you have to make for yourself. But we've so blurred the lines of this is a fun thing to do versus this is a corporate takeover of everything. Yeah. If you are someone that struggles with this, I don't know how you watch a sporting event. I truly don't, because at the beginning of every game, every baseball game, here are the odds for who might hit a home run. Here are the odds for this player averages 28 points per game in the NBA playoffs. His line tonight is 26. It's presented to you right up front. If you are someone that struggles with that, I don't know how you are able to watch a sporting event right now, because it's so intertwined. There's so much money involved, and it's disappointing. And I wish we would scale everything back a little bit. I mean, there's been some movement in certain states, you can't do prop bets on college players in the state of Ohio. That's just one specific example, because, a player would hit their under and then get a bunch of nasty DMs on Twitter because they rushed for 84 yards instead of 86. So, not that you're going to completely get rid of it, nor do I think you necessarily need to, but we do maybe need to be a little bit less abrasive in how we're advertising this. And so that's kind of a full segment, probably some other time maybe. But it's all layered in because basically what I'm saying is Swarsby is not going to be the only player that has this issue.
He isn't
He's
the
just
only
not-
player
He,
currently.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad he's
Like,
getting help, Aaron. That's very well
Absolutely.
said.
yes, and I'm glad he is too. That's obviously first and foremost, but he's not the only player struggling with
No.
this. It just hasn't come out yet.
That's very
Which
well
is-
said. I'm surprised they haven't even incorporated in score bugs at this point.
It's crazy.
I think that's the thing that people, the normalization back in the day, and I'm even going to use the example of us on the podcast to open up the curtain. I don't know if it's clear to you guys. I am not an expert at sports. I in fact, this expert persona that I've been able to put on of the guy who is really good at remembering names of players
Right.
and who they played, where they played, how
Kenny
well they
Pickens,
played.
specifically.
Turns out a lot of that is the character I've created. Back in the day, I would have to go and do a quick look onto like certain sites and be like, okay, crap, who did this guy play for again? Blah, blah, blah. You used to have to go to, other than like Kentucky Derby and outside, like things like that, where there's a little bit more, it's kind of attached to the pageantry, but horse racing, dog racing, it's always had, you put a bet on it.
Yeah.
You had to dig to find odds for most sports. NFL might have a line because that was kind of a traditional thing, but you would always just see the quick line and then that's it. Maybe
and some
an
of that's
over
more
under.
like who's favored. Like that stuff's
Yeah.
actually really fun to talk about.
That's
like,
that's a different.
This team's
that's
a clear favorite. Yeah,
that's
right.
not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is now it's a more expansive odds. It's ESPN Bet, FanDuel, and you can now click and go places, and within a minute you're down $1,000. Like it's not that we've always said gambling. You just no. It's always been understood, but not so actively and aggressively promoted. Now, again, coming from Ohio, where it was a newsworthy story that Ohio got casinos when I was in it was like 8th grade, freshman in high school. Obviously, I wasn't. I was right at the door, ready to go.
That's right.
Why don't you guys have Skip-Bo? But man, if they had Euchre, nope. I still wouldn't go. Here's my hot take. Euchre is stupid. Nobody should like Euchre.
Wow,
We're going to get
that's a
the
whole new
most hate
segment.
comments ever.
Now
Based on
I've actually
that
incited people. Yeah,
Forget about anything I've ever said about any other
it.
team.
Guys, I grew up in the Midwest. I went to euchre tournaments, and it's stupid. Play anything else.
Yeah. Aaron, just post that.
Yeah,
There's your
There it
there's our
is.
clip for the
bait.
week.
Man.
Yep.
There it is. Get rid of my O'Grimacy bit and put that one in.
I probably will, to be honest.
Oh boy.
Josh,
But see,
Talk
I'm
about
in Texas
this
now, so you can't even get me.
talk about this
But
insane footwear.
So this is I did a little bit of a misleading headline for you folks. The headline I put in our shared document for notes, I said AGI shoes? Question mark, maybe? I did. This is not you asking ChatGPT what shoe should I wear, and it gives you sneaker like it always does. Are you familiar, Johnny, with the company, or Aaron, but with the company Allbirds?
Yes, like the shoe company. Yeah.
Yeah, the shoe company. Yeah, great job. They popped up in the middle, like the 20 teens.
Oh, I heard about
their whole
this.
thing was creating sustainable shoes for tech bros. Is kind of the market they kind of went towards. Kind of like a semi-casual, those like dress sneakers everyone wears.
Yeah.
But like sustainable, and you can wear them at your Apple job. You can play ping pong in them at the communal ping pong table. They've not been doing so well as of late. I've never really. They don't have physical stores anymore. They closed down all their physical stores in February. It looked like they were going to be on the downtrend, and like I was looking. I don't know if this is confirmed. They were looking at potentially moving towards bankruptcy. I think that was in discussion, and it's okay, guys. Don't you worry, because Allbirds is no longer doing shoes. They announced last week and a half ago, that they are pivoting from shoes to becoming a GPU AAS service. That's called GPU as a Service company, an AI data rental company, essentially.
This is AI,
what they will now
AI
do.
Nightmares.
They were doing shoes. Shoes, turns out, cannot count. Shoes cannot give you bad made-up information. Shoes cannot create a freakish 11-fingered demon person when you type in create a cute Norman Rockwell style painting of a turkey at Thanksgiving, and it gives you a human face on the turkey. So that's what Allbirds wants to get into. So what's going to happen is Allbirds is going to buy.
Have the birds taken over Allbirds? Is that what's happening?
Say what?
No,
Have the birds
Aaron,
taken
this is
over
the opposite. AI is
birds?
killing the birds.
I wish birds were real so they could take care of this.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
GPU as a service, guys. You hear about data centers, and actually, you guys would know about data centers because Ohio has the most data centers of any state.
I'm anti-data center. Anti.
So those big old lovely data centers have GPUs. This is why you can't buy a new graphics card for your cool PC. It's because Allbirds bought them all when they transitioned. Yeah. And so you can rent out. You can't, because you can't buy, what if I want to host my own cloud storage?
So there's no shoes.
You just go to Allbirds. They're selling the shoe. They're selling the shoe crap to, and I do mean shoe crap. They don't care about it anymore. They're selling it to American Exchange Group. They sold it for $39 million.
Why didn't they just make a new company?
We're beyond.
That's crazy.
They did. It's called Allbirds AI.
That's not with that. You can't just.
No, you can, and you know why? Because their share, if they were trading at $3, then they announced this. One day, their share jumped up by 582%.
People are dumb, man.
Johnny, no, not people. The shareholders were thrilled with this news.
Oh, the shareholders.
Yes.
Thank goodness. I'm so glad that the shareholders are taken care of.
Johnny, you could buy a share. You could become a shareholder.
I'd rather die. I'd rather
die. Can I have your
shares?
Can you give me your shares?
Yeah,
in your
when
will?
I die from buying the share, Josh, you can have them.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, so there's no AG1 shoes? Because I partake of the AG1.
Oh, sorry, that was AG. That should be an AGI, artificial generative or artificial general intelligence.
Well, that was really misleading because I was thinking the AG1, the green juice in the morning type thing.
Yeah.
Like I partake, and I'm like, they're making shoes. Why would they be making shoes?
I'm sorry, man. I'm learning about AG1. I'm literally learning about AG1 as we're speaking.
AG1's health and wellness. Them making shoes makes more sense than Allbirds going AI.
Yeah, so, you can go to the Allbirds site right now, and they still have shoes. I don't know for how long. Probably just until they get bored of them.
That's crazy.
But, yeah,
that's insane.
So rent your AI computing purposes from Allbirds.
Man.
Until Allbirds die.
Ugh. Okay, Josh, I thought we weren't going to end on a negative note, so I will fix it.
That's not negative. We're talking about a company that
you talked about like birds dying,
trillions in
birds
value.
dying. I got a notification on my phone this week that said, alert, mass bird migration is occurring in your area next week. Be on the lookout. And I was thrilled. That's why I know I'm old and there's something wrong with me because I have bird apps on my phone and it's warning me about bird migrations this time of year because there's extra birds in the Midwest during spring. Anyway, but this is what I actually wanted to end on a positive note. Dairy Queen just released a new dip cone flavor, and it's a cinnamon toast crunch cone.
Ooh.
I'm in.
Available
I'm
nationwide.
very in.
Nationwide.
I'm very-
Starting today. So go get yourself a cinnamon toast dipped cone from Dairy Queen. Action statement.
That's great. No better way to
Action
end.
statement. Treat yourself.
Yep, that's right. Viewers, listeners, thank you so much for being here. I hope you were happy with the results of the NFL draft. I hope you're happy with the results of the NBA and NHL playoffs. And we will come back next week and probably recap all of those different first rounds. Until then, take care. For myself, for Josh, for Johnny, for producer Chris in the void, hurling insults at us when we say we hate euchre. Thanks for being here this week. We'll see you all next time. Have a good one.